Hi, my name is Aiden K. Wickman, and this is my presentation on the three major types of e-learning design. This presentation is primarily for EDI 544, but it's my hope that this presentation can cast a wide net, so to speak. Before we jump in, I wanted to go over a brief introduction to e-learning. E-learning is the use of any computer and or the networks to which they're attached in order to gain knowledge. That's a very broad definition, but it needs to be, as e-learning is a very broad tool. What helps, though, is to understand the three major types of e-learning design, which is what we're going to focus on today. The three major types of e-learning design include synchronous, asynchronous, and blended. Let's dive into each of these designs. Synchronous learning is live communication. Think of this like the Zoom lectures that we all had to do in 2020 and 2021. The class is scheduled to meet at a certain time, and all students are expected to be quote-unquote present at that time. Shepard remarks that synchronous communication requires all participants to make themselves available at an agreed time. It's live in real time. As with everything in life, there are pros and cons, and that's true with synchronous learning as well. Roses for synchronous learning are pros includes seamless collaboration, natural learning, and the fact that students can be from all around the world. Distance doesn't matter. However, some thorns that arise from synchronous learning is that students may not have a flexible schedule to be able to go to class. For instance, if you work full-time or if you're a new parent, it'd be hard to carve out time to go to class. Also, like all e-learning, this is going to be a common thread, synchronous communication relies on the speed of a network, which may not be distributed to all learners evenly. I live in a place where high-speed internet is just not feasible. A Zoom call is very difficult to do. So synchronous learning, while it has all those wonderful pros, comes at the bottleneck of network speed, which is still a problem. The opposite of synchronous is asynchronous, which sees students and their instructor never meeting, even virtually. The instructor will post the assignments, readings, and materials needed to achieve the learning target, and the learner must use those materials by themselves. If the instructor and the student do meet, it is scheduled and it's not spontaneous. It's a meeting. You will both agree on a certain time. The student is in a mode of self-instruction with the aid of the professor being an email or a scheduled meeting time. I realize this paints asynchronous learning in a negative light, but it's really easy to fall in love with, especially if you're working full-time or if you're a new parent. An individual who's coming back to school can find time to complete their schoolwork outside of working hours. Like synchronous as well, the distance doesn't matter for the success of e-learning, but now with the asynchronous aspect, time also doesn't matter. I live in a different time zone than my professor, and that's never caused an issue. As long as you're explicit on when the due dates are, time really doesn't matter. I'm 4 hours behind the East Coast, where the building of the school is, and that's never been a problem for asynchronous classes, so which is a huge plus. However, if a student doesn't have proper time management skills, they will be at a disadvantage from learning in the asynchronous classroom. Collaboration also is more of a challenge in this style. It's harder to have that spontaneous collaboration. And lastly is blended learning environment. This mixing of the two worlds usually sees an asynchronous assignment paired with scheduled meeting times. This is what a lot of K-12 schools did at the very beginning of the COVID shutdown and into the 2020-2021 school year. This is what we saw a lot of. These meeting times can either be in person or through the use of web video calls. That's what a lot of schools did. My school that I worked at in 2020 to 2021, we had a blended of face-to-face where kids would come a certain amount of days and they'd be online. That was a blended e-learning environment. Intuitively, the blending learning environment has the best and worst of both worlds, with the benefit of having greater flexibility with the physical distance of the learner. If your meeting times are once a month, it's not crazy to live an hour, 2 hours away from your scheduled meeting if you only need to make that commute once a month. But it has the downfall of having students needing to carve out time once again to go to class, even if that meeting is once a month. It still is a time where you have to carve out, and if you have a job that is spontaneous with its scheduling, it might be difficult for you. Personal preference, I am extremely grateful for online asynchronous learning. As a learner, as a grad student, I love this kind of stuff. I can go at my own pace. I can binge the work if I need to. If I know I've got a stressful week coming up, I know I can hop on a Saturday and just bang out my assignment. On a Sunday, bang out this assignment, get all of that work done, make sure I'm ready and set to go. But as a teacher, I don't think I'm in the minority where I prefer a synchronous learning environment. And maybe it's just because I am a K-12 teacher. Having more control and like a closer eye on my students as they learn, it feels like they, it feels like it helps me bring them closer to our learning targets. And I guess it feels like it's fine because this is my personal opinion. Yeah, I prefer to teach synchronously. So there isn't or will never be a perfect way to conduct e-learning, but I hope this presentation was helpful in making a more educated choice for your future e-learning classroom. Thank you so much for watching.